So I guess people are uploading the entire Venom 3 movie to YouTube now. Really makes me angry that I got this figure after I made the Simpsons video. So I think when Wave 2 comes out, I'll review him with those. So I'm going to be looking at Wave 1 of the Sonic 3 figures, except for Shadow, because you can only get him with his bike where I live for some reason, and not as just a single figure. He's not out yet, I don't know why. First up, we're going to be looking at Sonic the Hedgehog. The eyes have been made the same way that they did with the Mario figures, like they're behind the eyes. They actually scale really well together. I don't know why, but I used to always think the Mario figure was like 12 inches tall. But on the Mario figure, he actually follows you. Like, no matter what position you have him in, unless he's, like, has his back turned to you, he's looking directly at you. Sonic has a very nice fur texture going throughout the entire figure that has been very well made, in my opinion. He has these little, like, transparent quills because there was a light-up version. The shoes are really impressive on the figure and have this, like, basketball sort of texture, and they have their own, like, thing on the bottom, their own pattern. It's not just plain. Now, Sonic can't really look up at all, because he doesn't have a neck. He can tilt a little bit, and he can turn left and right. He has butterfly joints, which is the last thing I expected him to have, I'll be completely honest. The one on his left arm was actually a little bit stiffed, so now there's a mark where I've been pushing it, which is a little bit disappointing. It doesn't bother me that much, though. Sonic also has a bicep swivel and a joint at the elbow, which feels really nice. You can turn his wrists left and right in 360. He also has a hinge, so you can move it back and forward, and you can tilt the fingers. So now you can have him holding stuff like a katana or something. The diaphragm joint isn't diaphragming. It doesn't really move that much at all. It can move left and right, but not back and forth. The legs move that far up and that far out to the side, and they move that far back, so an impressive range. He also has a thigh swivel and that very nice joint at his knee as well. Really impressive for Sonic movie figures. The shoes are definitely one of the most impressive parts. You can move it that far back and that far forward, and you can tilt them really, really nicely as well. So you can hit some insane poses, like the sliding one. You know, like the sliding one? Yeah. For accessories, you get absolutely nothing. However, I have Wave 2 from the Sonic 2 movie figures that came out 2 years ago. Now, the ring doesn't really work in terms of the size and characters going through it, but the small ring from, like, the game figures work absolutely perfectly. And the Master Emerald actually fits better in these figures than I think they do in Wave 2 figures. However, I do think they should have made some rings for the Sonic 3 movie. It would have improved the figures and gave them more of a point to charge £15 for them. Next up, we're going to be looking at Sonic's slave, Tails. Tails has the same eyeglass thing going on. I also noticed that he doesn't have any teeth for some reason. They probably would look weird anyway. And the tails on Tails look absolutely phenomenal, man. A lot of detail on the shoes, however they didn't really paint anything except for the front and the two little dots on the side there. He can look up a lot better than Sonic can because he doesn't have all the spikes on the back. However, everything else is really disappointing. But again, the tails aren't. He has a hinge on each tail, so you can pose them in different directions. And they have a swivel, so you can turn them left and right. And you can just turn them in general. So you can move them any way you want. And the sculpt just look absolutely incredible. I can't believe it. It's euphoric. No paint mistakes apart from that little part right there. Don't know if you can see it. As you can see, he has butterfly joints that don't really work, but he doesn't have the nice, like, elbow and arm articulation the Sonic does. They're just hinges. They're a bit rough to move. And he also doesn't have any, like, diaphragm joint, but he does have the hand-finger thing going on. And he has ankle pivot, like, insane range and amount of ankle pivot, and you can move them back and forth too. And because of the ankle articulation, he can actually stand up without falling over, like some other figures, such as the Wave 2 Tails from the last movie, because, you know, his tails are actually heavier than his entire body. Also, the bottom of the shoes are different, which I thought was weird. I also have the backpack too. If you really want to, you can try and put it on his back, even though it doesn't really fit. Tails isn't overall disappointing, but he definitely got nerfed somewhere down the line. Overall, I'm giving him an 8, because again, no accessories, so yeah. Next up, we have the funniest man alive himself. The head sculpt, well, it's not the head sculpt, it's the paint on the head sculpt that definitely lets it down for me. I think it looks perfect, but if it was painted better, you could definitely tell it was Jim Carrey. Like, when I look at it from afar, it looks really nice, but when I look at it close up, I think it looks terrible. There's no missing paint, and there's no paint smudges either. All the little gold elements on the shoes and the trousers and the jacket, they're all there. They're all there. And the jacket, and it's not really a jacket, but it's rubber, so you can move the diaphragm joint loads better. It can actually move this time. He has that joint again, like they did on the Sonic figure, and half of it's actually been painted black, or it's been made black, so it lines up with the pattern on his jacket. I still don't know what it is. He has a wrist hinge, and if you can see right by there, they had all the painted, well, it's not painted, but you have all the details sculpted on. And I'm actually surprised they painted this, but you can have the little gold things on the front and the back of the shoes. He has a thigh swivel, and the bottom of the jacket is really bendy to allow better range in the legs. The only thing I don't like about the paint is if they could have put a little bit of silver on the zipper there, or just painted the entire zipper. But the mustache has been painted with like different colour browns, which I thought was nice. This would have been the opportunity for them to make a actual movable head, but they didn't. He has the butterfly joints again, bicep swivel, elbow joint, wrist hinge and swivel, that amazing diaphragm joint, left, right, all the fucking just moves everywhere. He moves his legs that far up, and he has the smooth joint at his knees, and he has that ankle articulation which works really well. Definitely the most articulated, or has the best range of movement. I'm giving him a solid 8.5. No accessories. A very fine addition to my collection indeed. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.